Hey, so I've been meaning to do this video for quite some time now because I actually had this recommended to me by one of the viewers of one of my other videos. He said, hey, you should check out Bortnikoff fragrances. And I heard the name, it sounded familiar. I had seen some reviews on it before, but I was completely unfamiliar with this niche house, or if you want to say actually, it's really a niche Russian fragrance. At least the perfumer is Russian, but based out of Thailand. So interesting combination there. And so I started looking into it. They're most known for using a high percentage of natural ingredients, as well as the fact that they use a lot of oud, which, because they're based in Thailand, apparently he's able to access more of the ouds from that area. So you'll see some of that Cambodian, Vietnamese oud listed, right? Those are going to be some of the types of things that he will have access to because of the regionality. It's also interesting because I'm going to talk about some of those natural ingredients that are used and how even ethically there may still be some discussion. So I'll bring that up. Now, the two that I tried are very distinct. One is Zemfira, which is a rose fragrance. As you all know, I love rose fragrances, so I'm always looking for the rose notes in any fragrance. And in this case, I picked Zemfira to sample. And I've got two samples here from Scent Split. So Scent Split, because of course, I don't want to blind buy a bottle that's $350. So I thought, well, I'll pick up a few decants and be able to try these out, especially as a review here for this video. Now, the other one that I tried is an entry-level oud, from what I understand, and that is Oud Monarch. And both of these, they've been great. So I'll talk a little bit about Zemfira, and then I'll talk a little bit about Oud Monarch as well. Now, Zemfira is named after a rock musician and songwriter that is out of Russia. And I think with the situation that's going on there between Russia and Ukraine, the war that's happening, she's actually living in France. And that is partly because, well, she was declared a foreign agent by the Russian government. And as a result of that, I think she's had to seek refuge in another country. So nevertheless, politics aside, the intention, because this was actually created, I think, even before the war, the intention is likely to make the association between that whole contrast between the rock life and as well as the gentleness of a rose, and has that femme fatale type of combination. And I think it's quite appropriate, actually. So I had picked up this fragrance, again, as I mentioned, from Scent Split, and being that it's all natural ingredients on it, the opening is really one of the highlights of this, because the bergamot that's in here, because of the fact that these are natural ingredients, what I picked up was a lot different than the bergamot I've experienced in any other fragrance. To me, it was so photorealistic of, say, taking a citrus fruit, and if you held it, maybe gave it a slight squeeze to it, the oils from the skin would start to come off on your skin, right? That smell is what I get from it. And it's such a nice introduction to what follows after that. Because after that, you get a little bit of rosiness, a little bit of fruit that comes through. Now, the rose in this one is very green, very fresh. It's very holistic rose. It includes the rose petals, the rose stems to me. It includes the rose leaves, all of those together. It's like the experience that I get when I walk into a florist, for example. That whole floral smell that you get, even the water at the base of a vase, that's all there for me when I smell this. So it's really realistic rose, complete, but it's wrapped in that citrus, which brightens it and really draws it up towards you. I love the fact that it's encapsulated that way. But what I found interesting about this is that it lists that it has Vietnamese oud and also cedar. Now, I'm quite sensitive to cedar, so it generally, when there's cedar notes in something, it tends to dominate. And it obscures some of the other notes for me. That's just the way that my nose works. So I was hoping that was not the case. It is not, because it's actually quite delicate. I don't get that pronounced cedar that I usually associate with pencil shavings. I don't have that in it. Instead, what I get is more of a smooth wood, like what I would expect from sandalwood. which is listed. So it says Bengalian sandalwood is one of the other notes that's in it. And then there's a Vietnamese oud. Now I'm going to be very honest with you. I didn't pick up oud from this, at least not in the way that I'm familiar with it. And generally speaking, I've become very accustomed to both westernized oud as well as oud accords done by Middle Eastern houses. That seems to be the going thing right now, right? And some of the real oud, if you for example, use it as incense or bakur. I've been around a little bit about that, but I haven't had a huge amount of exposure to be able to make a distinction between Vietnamese oud and Cambodian oud. And, I can't draw those distinctions. But what I can tell you is that I don't get the sort of negative associations with oud that you would expect. Meaning that unless you told someone that there's oud in it and they started looking for it, probably not going to smell it. At least I don't really get it there. It doesn't seem to ever fill that frame, if you will, in any way. Maybe it's back there supporting it, but the note itself for me wasn't very obvious. So all in all, this is a fragrance to me that has a very fresh, light, but yet complex character to it because of the realism of these natural ingredients. I think is what adds that. So just overall, a fragrance that I would love to be able to own because of that citrus opening and the fact that it's not married to patchouli, that it also isn't using vanilla. So those are, I'm getting quite tired of those combinations sometimes. So getting something like this that has more of a sandalwood and rose and also the bergamot on the top, that whole combination there, very nice. So not a lot of projection from it, seems a little bit intimate and something that lasts throughout the day. That's been my experience with it. Now, the other one that I picked was actually another completely different fragrance from Bortnikoff that I picked is also Oud Monarch. Now, the reason I selected this one is because I was looking for an entry-level oud, right? I didn't want to go into the deep end yet. I really wanted to see what it had that was a little more approachable, a little more mass appealing. And so the one that I've got is Oud Monarch. Also got a sample there from Scent Split. And I sprayed it earlier on my arm because I wanted to really talk about where it goes as opposed to how it starts. Now, when Oud Monarch opens up, I had to go and look at the notes because it was a note that I was unfamiliar with, and that is the frangipani, which is a tropical flower that, it has a very kind of pronounced and different note to me that I was unfamiliar with. So I went ahead and sprayed this earlier, and that's already rolled off because that floral opening, very distinct, very unique. It lasts maybe 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes. Then it starts to introduce the rose from that behind it. And those red florals are definitely there in a very rounded way. It encapsulates the rest of what's in here. And what comes through also is right away the oud. So here, this one, the oud was way more familiar. Like here, what I got was a bit of a animalic, skanky type of oud, but in the most gentle way. It is very comforting, even if you associate it with animals. And here's why, because I know that sounds strange, particularly if you're not familiar with oud or you haven't been initiated with that. This animalic oud reminds you of, say, for example, what wood is that has been around animals is like. Their excretions, their fur, sort of the presence and the likely, the odor that comes from animals, all of that around it. Now, the oud is in there, but the other thing that supports this are two ingredients that, as I mentioned earlier, ethically, right, it's up for discussion here because it uses castoreum as well as civet. So civet from the civet cat and castoreum from beavers, both add a really unique warmth to it. And that's really what supports the animalic notes in here. But they're pleasant, but it I have some reservations about how these may be sourced. Now, hopefully they're sourced in a responsible way. I'm pretty sure if I looked it up, if you're, a big fan of Bortnikov fragrances, please let me know. But I suspect that maybe it might be a byproduct of another industry. So you can think about how leather sometimes is a byproduct of the meat industry, something to that type. Or maybe it's sourced with, say, indigenous people who do hunt that for food and then obviously are able to sell some of the other resources of the animal. So the question here, though, is really if that's in fact where it's coming from, is it sourced responsibly? This is definitely not a vegan fragrance. So I'm going to put that out there as well. And that's going to be part of the thing, that when you get natural ingredients involved, you have to really think about the sourcing. You have to think about, well, you know, what kind of a footprint does this leave in the environment, right? How is it being sourced? What does it require to be able to get these materials? So that's just things that came up to me. Maybe I'm making a big deal of it, but again, we need to be responsible, right? So I think that that's something to consider. But this, on the other hand, though, is still a lovely fragrance in the respect that it has a chocolatey aspect to it. It has a little bit of spices, but it's so warm and comforting. Now, right now, it's warm outside. And the one thing that I fear sometimes with fragrances like this that are oud based or have a lot of leather is that when it gets warm, they start to pump. And it sometimes becomes a bit too much, right? And that's what starts to choke people out. This won't do that. It has an intimate bubble around you that people would have to come in to really pick up on it. Now, for me, this is the type of scent that I would want in a cold day, but you could wear this on a warm day and it would not project that much. And I think that that's part of the benefit of the way that this is constructed. So I know that seems strange, but if it's your thing to wear this type of scent, oud based with a lot of animalic notes in it and the rose that's in it as well, then you could wear this in the summer. I think it would work. You just have to be very discreet about it. And especially if you're going in and out of places that are have climate control, I think it'd be fine. So again, an intimate projection, not a lot coming off on it. Matter of fact, when I move my arm around, that's when I sort of will smell it. But otherwise, when it's just sitting here, I probably wouldn't pick up on it too much. This is one that maybe you could apply underneath your clothing, and that would just give you that personal enjoyment and wouldn't necessarily say reach out to others as well. So that's the Bortnikoff Oud Monarch, and a completely different fragrance than the Zemfira, which I also enjoyed. Both of these, awesome exploration into the craft there of Bortnikov fragrances. I think there's a lot more to explore. So if there's something else that you think I should try from this house, please let me know. Between these two, I'm going to try the Zemfira. That might be one that I pick up. But the Oud Monarch, I may wait to see how this does in the winter. I think that these seasonal type of fragrances, I really like to try them in the right environment. And so I may wait to make any decision on purchasing this until the winter. But again, let me know. Is there any that you would suggest from this house, from Bortnikov, that I could try? And I'd love to be able to get your suggestions in the comments below. Thank you so much for supporting the channel.
Значит, буду дольше жить. Значит, будем корабли в моей гавани жечь. На рубли поменяю билет, отрастить бы до самых плеч. Я никогда